A bad accident, a rotten relationship, a serious illness maybe, or some other traumatic event to wake us up so that we can really appreciate all the great people and all the great things in our lives. Here's my advice. Don't wait. Don't wait for something traumatic or tragic to happen to you. Wake up now, today, and make gratitude a practice in your life. Begin today. Make your commitment. Each day notice at least one person or moment or thing that has blessed your life. And if you find yourself being ungrateful or thinking about something negative or thinking about someone or something in a negative way, or if you find yourself wanting something that your friend has or something that your neighbor has, that envy thing, something that you don't already have, instead of craving and desiring and yearning for someone else or something else, don't. Try this instead. Be grateful for who you are, for the friends and family you have, for the people who love and support you. Be grateful for what you already have. Gratitude and envy cannot coexist in the same space. Gratitude and negativity cannot coexist in the same place. So, sometimes we find ourselves thinking bad or negative thoughts about someone else, sometimes even ourselves. Well, if that's you, instead of that negative voice or thought, substitute a grateful voice or thought for your negative one. Maybe your sister forgot your birthday, or your husband, or your wife, right? But instead of having a pity party, instead of saying to yourself, well, they just forgot to call me or to say hello or to buy me flowers on my birthday. Substitute this thought instead. My sister, my spouse, they've always been there for me through thick and thin, through good times and bad times. My husband, my wife, my sister, my daughter, my son, they've always been there for me. And you know what? They're here today. I know they are. I know my sister loves me and supports me, and she only has goodwill and good intentions in her heart for me. Now, I know sometimes that's really hard to do. I know it's hard for me. And I teach this stuff, right? Okay, and I'm telling you right now. But here's a practice. Before you go to bed, before you go to sleep each night, let gratitude be your last thought. And when you wake up each morning, let gratitude also be your first thought. Just give it a try. You'll be surprised and happy about how gratitude can actually begin to shift and change and ultimately transform your life. So the second gate of gladness is being here now, living in the moment. Now, a lot of people simply don't understand that today is a marvelous gift. That's right. Today is a gift. And you know what? Tomorrow is not promised. That's what I said. Tomorrow is not promised. In other words, do not put off or postpone your life and your enjoyment and your delight in life. Do not wait for even a single day. That day when your life is less busy, right? Or when your life is less stressful. When you're living life as an empty nester, right? Why? Because, something that day may never come. Instead, look for opportunities to see, smell, and enjoy the roses today. Look for chances to savor the moments, the big and the small pleasures of life. I remember my dad saying to me over and over when I was a little girl, Gloria, be sure to stop and smell the roses every single day, 365, 24/7. I love being around children. And you know what? We can learn so much simply by listening to and paying attention to children. Now, why is that? Well, most of the children I know understand how to be here now. They understand how to live in the present. In fact, they are experts at it. I mean, children focus on the many, many delights and pleasures and positive experiences that are happening, not yesterday, okay, not tomorrow, because they're not even thinking there. They're focusing on what's happening right here, right now, in this present moment. And we could all take a page out of that book, right? And if we did, we would truly enjoy today instead of dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. I think it was Albert Einstein who said, worry is a misuse of the imagination, right? We can also learn a lot by cultivating what my friend, Dr. Mark Brady, calls beginner's ear. Okay, beginner's ear. I love that. Now, beginner's ear is a way of paying attention to the present moment, a way of paying attention by being open and curious. Brady says, to gain a sense of what beginner's ear might be like, we can think of how the sounds of the world affected us as a small child. When we can recall what it was like on a warm summer night, and we heard the very first cricket chirp, and then we heard the smaller details, the rhythm, the silence between chirps, and the answering call of the other crickets. Paying attention to and living in the present moment is paying attention to the fine, small details. And Brady reminds us this is a remedy. This is a remedy for keeping things from going in one ear and out the other, right? When we pay attention to and actually live in the present, we find the cure, the antidote, if you will, the remedy to our modern obsession with speed. With speed. I mean, today it seems like we're all addicted to speed at any cost. And the result is alienation from ourselves and from one another. I mean, that's one of the results we get when speed rules our life, when we go from one thing to the next, from one task to the next, from one adventure to the next, from one relationship to the next, from one experience to the next. We just go, 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 faster, faster, and faster. And without slowing down to pause, to inhale and exhale, without slowing down to fully experience and metabolize and appreciate the amazing months and weeks and moments, the many marvelous, sumptuous details in the days of our lives. The third gate to gladness, gate number 3, is to cultivate optimism. Cultivate optimism. Now, some people are wired to see the glass, that proverbial glass, as half empty. That's part of their DNA, right? And others are wired to see the exact same glass, but we see it as half full. Now, if you're one of those people who habitually sees the glass as half empty, then I want to encourage you to develop a new muscle, a new habit, a new way of seeing, and a new way of being. I want to encourage you to develop the habit of seeing the positive side of things. Now, don't panic. You don't need to become Mr. or Mrs. Sunshine, right? But what I'm saying is that don't let what's negative in the world filter your whole outlook on the rest of your life, okay? Or what's going on in the world around you. Don't let that filter your experience. My friend DeWitt Jones is an amazing photographer. He's actually a world-class photographer. He used to work for National Geographic, and to get things right, I mean really right, the best photographers have to see things a little bit differently from the rest of us. And for many, many years, DeWitt has devoted his life and work to seeing and celebrating what's right with the world. I just love that. Because what's good, what's really good, and what's really right with the world far outweighs what's negative. Now, if you're not a naturally optimistic person, it could take some time for you to change your pessimistic thinking, your negative thinking, right, into optimistic thinking. But here's a way to begin, okay? Here's a way to begin. You can begin by simply becoming aware. Okay, just notice your thoughts, okay, which raises your awareness. A lot of times our thoughts go through, we have thousands of thoughts during the day, right, but we don't notice them. So you can begin by simply becoming aware, by noticing your negative thoughts as they come across the threshold and enter your door, the door of your spirit. And as your awareness increases, then you can begin to ask yourself a few key questions, and here they are. Okay, so as these negative thoughts are coming through, ask yourself, is what's happening really as bad as I think it is? Okay, is what's happening really as bad as I think it is? In other words, hold that little thought up to some scrutiny, right? Another question to ask yourself is, how might I look at this situation differently? That's a great question, isn't it? How might I look at this situation differently? Another question is, what can I learn from my experience? Okay? I'm going to repeat those questions. Here are the questions to ask yourself as these negative thoughts come in. Is what's happening really as bad as I think it is? How might I look at my situation differently? And what can I learn from my experience? Great questions. Okay. Gate number 4, D, is devote yourself to your relationships. Did you know that one of the best gifts we can give to others is the gift of attention? They say that for a child, that's what love is. Attention. I think that no matter how old you are, that's true. Love is attention. We can give our attention to those we love in many, many ways. These days, especially these days, listening can be a huge gift of attention. In his lovely book called A Father's Book of Listening, Dr. Mark Brady focuses on a father and son relationship. But one of the reasons I love this little gem of a book is that it doesn't have to be a father and son relationship. His pearls of wisdom and experience apply to any relationship. So Brady says, when we listen to our kids, often what we listen for are the things we understand or things we agree with. We find comfort in discovering the ways that they are like us. Think about that. Now, when our kids say things or act differently than us, it makes us uncomfortable, right? And when they turn out to be very different from us, it can make us extremely uncomfortable. We don't necessarily like to see or hear about differences. Brady goes on to say, a listening father deliberately seeks out and pays attention to the ways our kids are different from us. We begin to appreciate the ways they have been shaped, molded, and often distorted by culture, schooling, family of origin, genetic makeup, and any number of unknown factors. Like snowflakes, no two children out of the billions and billions are ever exactly alike. after we've learned to listen to differences,